Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. Ahoy, hoy! It is Friday, the 8th of December. I had to think about it there. I'm still having this problem. I'm looking at the date, it's on my computer screen, and yet I can't actually get my brain to function. Do you know what I think it is? I think I've got so much information I actually want to get out and tell you that I kind of look at it and go, what is it? Is it Thursday, Friday, Saturday? No, it's Friday. That's okay. I spent all day yesterday thinking it was Wednesday when in fact it was Thursday, and my husband reminded me, actually no, you got the bins in, so you know it's Thursday. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about this utter tool. Yes, classic English derogatory name for somebody who is actually an absolute muppet. I've actually looked up the definition of calling somebody a tool, and a tool is someone who lacks the capacity to realise they're being used by someone else. A fool, this person might have low intelligence and or self-esteem. I think we can all insist that Harry fits that definition. So what's he gone and done now, I hear you all say? Well, he's in court, isn't he? Now, let's break this down. Harry is suing the Home Office with regards to his security. He's already been told by a judge, no, you can't hire the Met Police. Now, the protection officers that look after the royals are called the Royal Protection Officers. They are highly trained Met Police officers that are able to carry weapons. And that's what Harry wants. He wants to be able to use specialised security, i.e. Royal Protection Officers, for security and to gain intelligence on any possible threat towards him. So Prince Harry has already lost an earlier legal fight to pay money for UK police protection when he's visiting his home country, i.e. England. And he was swiftly told the Met Police are not for hire. Because, let's face it, if Prince Harry was given or granted permission to hire the Met Police for his own private security, which is exactly what he wants, then anybody with money could do that. And that opens up a floodgate we do not want to do. Yes, the police are hired for massive public events such as football and concerts, but that's because of public safety. Lots of public safety, not just one individual. And there lies the problem. Harry wants to be able to pay for his own security. And the judge basically said, no, they're not for hire. But this particular round of court action is because Harry believes that he was not given proper security protection in the UK because of an irrational and unlawful decision by the Home Office. He's arguing, or his lawyers are arguing, because he's not in the country, that the decision in 2020, which removed his state-funded security when he's in the UK, was not taken properly, and the committee which made that decision did not follow its own procedures. But lawyers, who are acting on behalf of the Home Secretary, claim the decision was to give Prince Harry a bespoke security arrangement following his decision to leave the royal family and move to the US. This basically means that if he is at any royal gathering, event, i.e. the coronation or a funeral, or anything that he decides that he'd like to grace with his presence, he will get security. If there is a legitimate threat, he will get security. Otherwise, he's just like regular average Joe. He says, or his legal team says, that the decision to remove his police protection in the UK after he decided to move to California with Meghan was the wrong one. His legal team has told the Royal Courts of Justice that RAVEC, which stands for Royal and VIP Executive Committee, they're the ones that decide and kind of build this framework for protection and take decisions accordingly on levels of protections for individuals and their residences. Now, Harry and his lawyers argued that RAVEC did not follow its own procedures, which state that a risk analysis should be first sought from the Risk Management Board before taking any decision about an individual's security provision. Harry's lawyers argued that it was the first time the body had decided to deviate from its own procedure. The court was told that no good reason was provided for singling Harry out. So this is why Harry thinks that he has been treated unfairly. and they've argued in court that Revek failed to follow its own policy and failed to treat the claimant, Prince Harry, in the way it treated others. And he said that while he first moved to Canada and then the United States, he had not formally quit as a working member of the royal family at the time the decision was made in 2020. Okay, well that then goes into this whole 12-month kind of cooling off period that was granted to them. But they were told, in no uncertain terms, at the Sandringham summit that happened in January 2020, that they will not be entitled to royal protection officers. And that is why Charles gave him a massive lump sum of £700,000 to say, okay, that's towards your security. But Harry obviously doesn't want any old security. He wants the same security that senior royal members have and those that are working on behalf of the royal family, i.e. Anne and Edward. They don't have security unless they're on actual duty for the royal family. And now I'm getting to the part that's made me incredibly angry. Harry, in his infinite wisdom, has decided to gaslight the entire nation and the court system. I'll explain, shall I? The Duke of Sussex disputes suggestion that it was his choice to stop being full-time working member of the royal family. He has stated in a statement to the court that he was forced to step back from royal duties and leave the UK. That's right, he says that he was forced to leave the UK. Directly reading from Harry's witness statement, he said, "It was with great sadness for the both of us that my wife and I felt forced to step back from this role and leave the country in 2020. The UK is my home. The UK is central to the heritage of my children and a place I want them to feel at home as much as where they live at the moment in the United States. That cannot happen if it is not possible to keep them safe when they are on UK soil. I cannot put my wife in danger like that, and given my experiences in life, I'm reluctant to unnecessarily put myself in harm's way too." Harry's lawyers took umbrance to the fact that the Home Office lawyers said that it was a choice for Harry to leave, that she said the implication appeared to be that if the committee's decision was the consequence of choice that the Duke had made, then that it was somewhat irrelevant. She added, "I do want to make it quite clear, as a matter of fact, that it's not accepted by my client. He did not accept that this is a choice." Now cast your minds back to January 2020 when Brexit blew up. That is, that they decided to exit the royal family in spectacular style. They pressed that nuclear button on their Instagram story. I will delve into that in a few moments, and then released their manifesto website detailing that they wanted to be half in, half out, without actually checking with the royal family whether it was okay. This is the choice that Harry is making. They decided that they wanted to leave and be financially independent, but they also wanted to remain part of the royal family in half in, half out capacity. Then obviously this Sandringham summit happened and the options were given to him of whether he stayed, he went, or that was it. And he was explained that if he went, then there would be no royal protection unless he was at a royal event, an occasion, or there was deemed significant threat to his life. Remember, it's not the responsibility of the royal family to decide who has or hasn't got royal protection. It is our government. Charles has no say-so in who receives royal protection. It is our government, it is the Home Office. So let's take a look at Harry and Meghan's Instagram statement on the now dead Sussex Royal. It's still there if you look on Instagram. Sussex Royal Instagram account is still there. So you can easily find that this is their words on their account. Shall I read you the first part, shall we? Because it has an interesting word in it. Not only did they release this on Instagram, they released it in a statement with their cipher as well. You know, the one that looks supposed to look like a H and an M, but actually just looks like an M with a crown. It says, "After many months of reflection and internal discussions, we have chosen to make a transition this year in starting to carve out a progressive new role within the institution." Now, that word there, chosen. So Harry, were you forced or did you choose? See, here lies the problem, and I think this is why Harry is doing what he's doing. They wanted a half in, half out. It didn't happen, so therefore he says that he was forced to lose his protection. Harry and Meghan automatically assumed that their idyllic little bubble in what they wanted to get, which was the half in, half out, they would receive royal protection because they would still be part of the working royal family model. Because they were told absolutely not, that cannot happen, they did not get security. So Harry throws his toys out the pram and then starts suing the Home Office. You have to remember, this statement was put out before the Sandringham summit. Now, recently, there's been this whole hoo-ha saying, actually, no, the Queen wasn't blindsided. We've discussed this in great detail with her before any of this, and I discussed it with my father. Well, if that's the case, then you would have known that the half-in, half-out situation could never have happened. So I call BS on that. But the fact that you have stood in, well, you haven't stood in court, have you, Harry, because you didn't present yourself in court, but your lawyers have stood in court and said that you were forced to leave the royal family, but on your Instagram and your statement you said that you have chosen is polar opposites. But of course Harry would argue that, well, you know, we weren't told then, we didn't really know we'd lose our protection because we wanted a half in and a half out, and if we were in the UK we would get the protection because, once again, they didn't take anybody else's feelings into consideration, automatically thought about themselves, assumed that they were the biggest people in the room and get what they wanted. When they were told no, they absolutely throw a major tantrum, which is why I believe this is all happening. They didn't get what they wanted. All of these grenades thrown at the royal family are all because the royal family said no. What happens to a narcissist when you say no to them? When you call them out on their BS? They go into a narcissistic rage that, like, never seen before. And this is exactly what is happening. All of this over the past couple of years is just purely a huge ballistic narcissistic rage attack. Fundamentally, Harry believes that he was treated unfairly. Bit like when Meghan Markle stood in South Africa and said, nobody's asked me if I'm okay. Crazy Days and Nights did a blind yesterday that hit the nail on the absolute head. They said the ginger-haired one took a pretty decent shot against the illiterate one, which is how they described Meghan Markle, when he described his home and where he wants to be. Now that's a very interesting point because I noticed these words. In his statement, he says, the UK is my home. The UK is central to the heritage of my children and a place I want them to feel at home as much as where they live at the moment in the US. He's basically saying that he doesn't feel at home in California. Is Harry starting to have slight regrets? Is that a dig towards Meghan Markle, or do you just think it's just the way he feels? He misses his home. But that's a complete contradiction to what they said in the Netflix documentary. Can you remember when he said that he feels sick every time he flies over London? Now, a lot of people are also mentioning the Freedom Flight, where he said in his documentary, it's him filming himself, and he says, we're on our way to Los Angeles with the dog and Doria, happy to leave England, and we're as high as kites. Okay, that Freedom Flight was actually from Canada to Los Angeles, but he does mention we're happy to leave England. He told Oprah that he was trapped and that he wanted his freedom. In his own words, I was trapped within the system. My father and brother are trapped. On that Netflix documentary, in his own words, he said that he doesn't really like England much and then went on his freedom flight. That's what Harry called it, a freedom flight. Shall we look at the definition of freedom? Shall we? Just for shits and giggles, yeah? Sorry, I don't normally swear, but I'm really, really angry about this. Dictionary, freedom, the power or right to act, speak or think as one wants. So if you do what one wants, is that a choice or were you forced? Now the reason why it was called a freedom flight was because their security detail got yanked from Canada. And quite rightfully so, there was a national outcry from predominantly British people saying, why on earth should we pay for his security? Because they were seen doing errands, they were seen getting coffee. Do royal protection officers go and get coffees for their paymasters? And of course, Canada was also paying for that too. So when their security detail got yanked, they hightailed it out there on a private jet for their own freedom flight. So now he says that he was forced out of the country, he was forced to step down, and this is all because he wants his royal protection officers, when he comes back, irrelevant of whether he's doing anything with the royal family, whenever he or his family, that's not just him, so if Meghan comes to the UK, not that she'll ever come to the UK again, because, scared of the booze, she might slip in and slip out, but she won't do anything public because...
Boo!
But ultimately, Harry wants royal protection whenever he's in the UK. This is just one stepping stone away from exactly what he wants. He wants internationally protected status, which essentially means that wherever he is, wherever in the world, whichever country he is in, that you, the people of that country he is staying in, will cough up for his security. Mark my words. And it is generally the consensus of pretty much anybody that has a brain cell that he wants IPP status. What he wants is what his brother has, and that is ultimately what it boils down to. They want to roll up in the big SUVs with the flashing lights, the police protection. They want the whole shebang. I'm sorry, Harry. The fact that you can't have your own way doesn't mean that you were forced to leave. It's just not that simple. Before I end this video, I'm going to just look at this photo. Now, this was from the Platinum Jubilee. Meghan was not seen. She was briefly seen going into Buckingham Palace. This was from the car, and she was seen shushing children from the window. She made sure she was seen. But if you are so scared about your own well-being and your own wealth's danger and wealth, oh my God, that was such a Freudian slip, wasn't it? Wealth, wife, yeah. Kind of Meghan Markle all over again. If you were so concerned with the dangers of the big bad Britain, why did Meghan Markle roll a window down? Why? I've just realised I've been prattling on for far too long than I normally would do, so I'm going to wrap this up. So I would love to know your thoughts on this. Why is Harry now saying he was forced to leave the royal family? Do you think that's all because they didn't have their half in, half out approach accepted and gleefully gone, oh, thank you for staying, Harry and Meghan, thank you for staying, we're so grateful? They were literally just shot down and said, no, that can't happen. And because of that, he felt forced to leave the royal family. What do you think about that whole it's my home, when in fact he's been quite derogatory about his home? The whole freedom flight thing, the whole flying over London makes me feel sick. I would genuinely like to know your thoughts on this. As always, I'd love to know what you think. While recording this video, there is some news that's just dropped with regards to Harry and the courts. Not this particular court case, but it's a really, really juicy one. It will be in tomorrow's video. I will make sure that there is so much more detail in tomorrow's video with regards to exactly what the judge has done to Harry. You will not want to miss tomorrow's video.
Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.